I always say to be a great leader, you have to be a great follower first.
A lot of my clients is, in order to be great, you have to be consistently good.
Everybody has greatness inside of them, but greatness is not enough. We have to bring it out of us because our choices, I call them defining choices, is what brings that greatness out.
Instead of striving for this internal achievement, which greatness is, why not do the external things right, which is just be good every single day?
You know, the 1% rule has been so polarized over the last several years. Just get 1% better. What people don't understand is they have to define what that 1% is.
What are your core principles that really guide your coaching philosophy?
Everything is based on our thinking. So what we have to upgrade is our thinking. Nothing happens until we think into it. So we've got to understand that. And most people are controlled by results. I'm not.
Welcome to MC Unplugged, where we ignite potential and fuel purpose. Get ready for raw insights, bold moves, and game-changing conversations. Buckle up. Here's Mick.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of MC Unplugged. And today's guest is a renowned coach, speaker, and entrepreneur known for his transformative work in personal and professional development. As the founder of Voss Coaching, he has helped countless of individuals unlock their potential and achieve their goals through innovative coaching techniques. He's a great friend of mine and a great follow. Please join me in welcoming the insightful, the motivating, the influential, Mr. Arash Vossoughi. Arash, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you, Mick?
I'm doing amazing, my man. And you know, we have so much in common with the personal, professional development. I believe that the world is great when people are helping people achieve their inner goodness and greatness. So I would love for you to just comment on, number one, how that started for you. Like what made Arash say, I want to help people become the best versions of themselves?
Yeah, it started a long time ago, about 20 years ago. I was dissatisfied. I was in the corporate world and I was dissatisfied. And I remember the first person I heard was Wayne Dyer. And I was watching a PBS special. I don't know where this came from, Mick. I can do what he does. I was super insecure at the time. Like there was no way, I don't know where that thought came. And then I just started getting more and more involved in personal development. And I said, I'm going to leave my corporate job and I'm going to create a coaching business. Well, my corporate job ended up selling. The company sold. The new company wanted to keep me, but I thought, I've been studying this for 3 years. This is my chance. And that same day, I get a call from an acquaintance and he connects me to the person who had the greatest influence on my life in Bob Proctor.
Yeah.
And Bob gets on the phone with me. And he said, well, tell me what you want. And I said, I'm not really sure. I said, I want to create a life of freedom, but I don't know how. He said, so you do know what you want. And he said, how serious are you to make the change? And I said, I'm very serious. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And he said, will you do exactly what I tell you to do? And I said, I'm not sure because I've never done exactly what anybody had told me to do. I was a great starter and a terrible finisher. And he said, I'm going to give you the same advice my mentor gave me. And he said, look at your results. The way you're living is not the way you want to live. And I said, correct. And he said, there's only two people you have to bet on. You have to bet on yourself and you have to bet on me. And you're the best bet. And I never had anybody talk to me like that. And I said to myself, we talked about it for years later. I don't know why I did it, but I made it into a game. I said, I'm going to do exactly what this man tells me for a year to the letter. And until I really do this work on a deep internal level, I thought I was being a fake. I think for 3 years, I was being a fraud to the work. I would study books, I would read it, but I never did the things. And within 90 days, I went from not having a job to go from 0 to 10,000 a month, which was a big deal at that time. Then within 90 days, I was at 25,000 a month, just actually doing the work. And then in 7 months, my whole life changed. Within 2 years, I went from 150,000 in debt to earning my first 7-figure income, doing what I love, which I found out was coaching people. And I always say, to be a great leader, you have to be a great follower first. And I was a great follower at that time, even though I didn't know I was. And I think if you look at everybody, Mick, everybody has greatness inside of them. There's not one person walking this planet, I don't care what their results are, that doesn't have greatness. But greatness is not enough. We have to bring it out of us because our choices, I call them defining choices, is what brings that greatness out. And I have just dedicated my life to doing this for the last 17 years. I've been blessed with having great mentors. I've been blessed with having a purpose at a younger age because I started this work when I started at 28, but I didn't really start till 31. I mean, really doing the work. I'm 47 now, and I've worked with people all over the world. I've mentored well over 100,000 individuals, really because I wanted to pay it forward. Once I got it, I just wanted to give it to the world.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. And there's so much goodness that you just shared. And I want to unpack and unplug a little bit of that. And one of the things is just about finding the greatness. And I have this thing that I'm really going through now with a lot of my clients is in order to be great, you have to be consistently good. So instead of striving for this internal achievement, which greatness is, why not do the external things right, which is just be good every single day? I'd love your thought and words of wisdom around that too.
Yeah, I think the man or woman that's most consistent always wins. You know, the 1% rule has been so polarized over the last several years. Just get 1% better. What people don't understand is they have to define what that 1% is. Let's say you and I were talking and you're like, Arash, I'm listening to your language. Your language has to get 1% better. You're not speaking into existence what you want. So I would focus on upgrading my self-talk 1% better every day, or eliminating procrastination and doing it now right away, 1% better. Because if we just stacked, I call it stacking mastery. Mm-hmm. And stacking mastery is one idea that you want to incorporate as part of your character. And what will happen is you won't just be good at it. It will turn into automaticity where it'll be, you really will become great at it.
Yeah, I love that, man. And I also challenge the get 1% better every day. My thing, I tell people, just get better because we don't even know what 100% of ourself is. Mm-hmm. So if I can't quantify what 100% output is, because we never go there, right? Like we always have a point where we stop. So we don't know truly what 100% of any effort that we have is. So instead of trying to quantify something that sounds cliche and sexy, just get better at something every day. Right? And take a step towards that, because if I told Arash, hey, Arash, get 1% better at your public speaking every day, I'm limiting you because you can get 2 to 3 times better at doing something every day. So why would I tell Arash, just give me 1%? Because you don't know what that 1% is.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I always tell people that I coach, I want you to think of your goal right now. And I said, now this is your identity. You are that person. So the person who accepts that idea is going to start behaving differently.
Right.
Because the ideas we accept goes right into our subconscious mind. And whatever results we have, like Mick, you can look at my results, your results, and all your listeners' results. They're just a direct reflection of their program on a subconscious level. So we want to simplify it to the ridiculous that if I want X result, I just have to change my program to whatever that is. Instead of complicating it, what most people are doing, before they start anything, they assign a level of difficulty to something before they start.
Yep.
So we're robbing good, we're robbing great, because we're settling for a lesser goal or a lesser standard because we're letting, and to me, Newton's laws are very outdated. This one law that the past determines the present determines the future, right? Einstein crushed that we can jump levels and create quantum leaps in a very short period of time if we are willing to step up and step out of our comfort zone and transform ourselves.
That's right. That's right. Dude, Chris, I could talk to you all day. Like, we could go so deep on so many things, man. And like, I really want to get into what I'm fascinated about with you, Arash, is this. You have some amazing core principles that really shape your coaching philosophy. And that's why, Arash, like literally, when I follow you, when I look at your platform, I personally grab tidbits, right? Because I feel like sometimes you're coaching me, Arash.
Right.
I want to let the world know that. But I would love for you to talk through and share for those that don't know you yet, because the world's about to. What are your core principles that really guide your coaching philosophy?
Everything is based on our thinking. So what we have to upgrade is our thinking. Nothing happens until we think into it. So we've got to understand that. And most people are controlled by results. I'm not, because I'm more about creating the right processes. Our processes create the results by default. Now, what are some of those processes? Let's talk about the foundational piece. Number one, we have to create belief. I can't give somebody belief. I can transfer my belief to them, but they have to do the internal work to build that belief. And so anybody can build a belief through a couple ways. One is through autosuggestion, which is a suggestion from yourself to yourself. But most people won't do it. Why? They don't tell themselves, they don't train themselves to build the discipline to speak about what they want. For example, let's say somebody, I'm making this up. Let's say somebody wants to double their income. They would auto-suggest, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have doubled my income and it feels absolutely fabulous. I am happy, I am healthy, I'm wealthy. But I train people to put an alarm on their phone every 3 hours and repeat it for 2 minutes. What you're doing is you're changing your wiring on a subconscious level. What's another way we could change belief? We can change it through action. It's much easier to behave our way into a new identity than it is to think our way into a new identity. So we have to start getting better at building a bigger idea of ourselves. But we have to understand ourselves. If we don't understand how our mind works, then we're going to always let the outside control the inside. I call them, we're either driven by determining factors or contributing factors. Contributing factors are always by the outside. Determining factors is by the inside. And now our subconscious mind creates 96 to 98% of all of our results. Then we've got to ask ourselves, then why are we trying to force everything? Why are we trying to will it? Because we don't understand how it operates. Everybody knows they have it. You could talk to a kid on a playground and they'll know their subconscious mind is beating their heart. Okay? But it's creating all of our results in our environment. So we have to understand how it works. So what is another great process? Like, Mick, look at your results for a second, okay? I want you to put them in your mind. Now, 80% of those results are created by 20% of your activities.
True.
So imagine that all you change your attention on is, I'm going to be more intentional about working my top 20% of activities longer during the day so I don't get distracted. The biggest thing people sabotage themselves from creating massive results is distraction. And so we have to look at our goal. Every goal determines the process of whatever we're going to achieve. If we're going to get in the best shape of our life, we'd have to work backwards from whatever that is, and we create a process around it. But we have to train our subconscious mind to live at our future self, not at our past self, and not at our present self. So we've got to get this in our awareness. Every time you negotiate with yourself, your past self is in control. So guess what we're going to create? Same thing we've always created. But when you start really connecting to future self psychology, it's going to change the game, because now every decision you make is from your future. Every standard is coming from that person. Every discipline is coming from your future self. And then you think, feel, and act like that person, you're going to transform your life.
Yeah.
So we've got to stop saying we want to change and actually change.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Dude, Arash, so many great things there, man. And I know you impact the lives of many of your clients. And so I'd love to take, maybe the stories you're just talking about there. Do you have a memorable success story where your coaching made a significant impact on a client's life? You don't have to, obviously you don't have to give a client's name, but I think for the viewers and listeners, being able to hear what you just said and then say, here's a practical story of how that actually happened. here's where this client or person was, and this is where they are today.
Yeah, I'll give you one just kind of based on what I just said because it's so fresh in my mind. I have a wonderful client in Texas, Mary, and Mary called me. I remember I was in San Diego at the time. I live in Scottsdale, Arizona, so I was on vacation. And she said, Arash, I'm stuck. And I said, tell me a little bit about what you're stuck. She goes, I am doing everything, but I'm not getting the results. I said, I'm going to give you a process to do that's going to be so simple. I want you to put everything away. And I just want you to practice this process. I call it the power of 5. So I said, this is what I want you to do. Every day when you wake up, you're going to do this 3 times a day. And I said, I want you not to do anything else. And I said, when you wake up, you're going to start with an intention that today you're going to conquer your day. You're going to beat your personal best from yesterday. And every decision you're going to make is from your goal. Every discipline is not from who you are right now. It's from who you're going to be. Every standard is going to be from that person. But you're going to not just put fairy dust in the air. You're going to think and you're going to act like that person. So your actions are coming from that person. And then you're going to have the most prosperous mental attitude. And then I told her to do that 3 times a day. But the second part of the day, it's around 1 o'clock. I said, I want you to observe the first half of your day and really observe, did I think like that? Did I up my standard? Did I practice my disciplines? Well, we did that for 6 weeks. And 6 weeks later, she called me and she said, I got a windfall. And that's all I did. If somebody will actually behave in a certain way, they're going to change their results. So one of the things that I give my clients, and I'm not the person to come to if you want to get incremental results. That's not what I teach. I teach massive transformation in a short period of time because I believe all of us should be creating quantum leaps every 90 days. But quantum leaps are about elimination. They're not about a lot of hard things. They're about doing a few things in a great way. Yeah. So when we look at what I gave Mary, it wasn't hard. Anybody can do it, right? Mm-hmm. Anybody can do it. But when you do it, it's what is going to create your world. So we have to start looking at, we have to observe, I call it interrogating your actions, Mick. We got to look at our actions. Are my actions coming from my comfort zone? Or are they coming from what I want to create?
Yeah, amazing. Arash, so many places to go next. But something that I'm a huge believer in, and I didn't get the true impact of this until I started following you. And it's something I want you to go a little deeper into for the audience and for Mick Unplugged, the freedom framework. I would love for you to kind of talk through that a little bit because, again, I know that there are listeners and viewers right now that are at that place where the freedom framework is like the solution that they need.
Yeah, so everything I've created has been a deconstruction of something I've duplicated, not just for me, for all my clients. So I created the freedom framework really based on what got me to change is I never wanted a thing. I wanted this feeling of freedom. And so my freedom framework design is a free download anybody can get. But it's my top processes that are going to create freedom. The first is a morning routine. How we start our day is how we own our day. But a lot of people, Mick, they'll say, oh, I do the morning routine when I get to it, right? I don't want to wake up early. And I always tell people, if you don't have a great morning routine, it's going to impact you in a great way. And because the whole purpose of a great morning routine is, number one, we're valuing ourselves. It creates discipline and it builds self-esteem. So in my freedom framework morning routine, since you're asking me to go deeper in it, is the first thing I recommend is waking up early, whatever that means for you. I wake up in the freedom framework when I started this was 5 a.m. Now, somebody could wake up at 6. It's not that they're not going to get the benefit. I just did it because I had young kids at the time. So I wanted to do it before anybody woke up. And the first thing I would do would be some form of exercise. It doesn't have to be your exercise for the day, but the whole purpose of it is to create some dopamine release, get your juices really flowing. Yeah. The second stage is gratitude. Gratitude is the vibration of abundance, but I don't just have my clients write out 10 things they're grateful for. I call it disciplined gratitude. I want it to be what you're really grateful for. Like if I say I'm grateful for my hair and I'm really not, that's not going to create any emotional connection, right?
Yeah.
So I recommend you write out 10 things. Then after you write them out, go to each one and ask yourself, why am I grateful? Now you're creating an emotional connections. Then I recommend writing 15 to 20 I am statements. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am successful. I am kind. Why? Because I am is the two most important words in the vocabulary. So when you say I am, that means this is how you're training your subconscious. So it's reshaping your self-esteem. Then I recommend writing out your best day in the present tense. When we write, writing creates feelings, feelings create actions, actions create results. But imagine you wrote out your best day, Mick, every single day. You're deepening your commitment. Every time we write, it deepens our commitment on a subconscious level. And then that is the morning process. Then the every 3 hour process is building belief. I call it the belief installation process. So I want everybody to think about what they want more than anything else. That's what we want to make in a concise statement. If somebody wants to get fit, I am weighing my perfect weight, looking good and feeling great. And you would repeat that every 3 hours. Because what you're doing is change is always linguistic. Think about this. We can't think without words. So we've got to be very careful with the words we use. Well, you do it every 3 hours. In 30 days, you're going to build a belief. But the deal is you've got to do it consecutively. If you don't do it consecutively, you have to start over.
Wow.
And then the third part is accepting and rejecting ideas. We want to get a PhD in accepting and rejecting ideas. So every idea you accept is from your goal. Let's say I have an idea that comes in that says, can I really do this? You say, no. I do not accept that. I can absolutely do it. If one person can do it, I can do it. So we've got to get really good. Accepting and rejecting is how you build discipline in your thinking instead of letting your thinking discipline you. Yeah. So then we've got to work on our top 3 to 6 goal achieving activities every day. We do this, I promise you, you're going to change your life. But I'll even make it better. Like if you want to really create massive transformation, focus on 3 wins 5 days a week. From your goal. 3 wins creates 15 wins a week. In 30 days, it's 94.5 wins. Over 90 days, it's 197.5 wins. What do you think your results will be if you had 197.5 wins, not from your current self, but from your future self, from the goal? You create success by default.
Exactly. And one of the great things that, I've heard Michael Jordan say, I've heard a lot of athletes say, and I've heard a lot of successful coaches in general say, right? You can't become a winner or a winning person until you learn how to win.
That's right.
And what you're saying, Arash, is that you're stacking wins.
Yeah.
So you're giving people, and that's what I love, and that's why I'm glad that you went there, because what I got from what you do in the Freedom Framework is you're giving me the opportunity to consistently win. And then I can then in my vocabulary say I am a winner. And I have a winning framework that's going to get me where I need to go every day. So I personally wanted to tell you I appreciate that for you. And I'm actually glad that you ended with the winning part, because that's what I get from the Freedom Framework is I can say I'm a winner and I'm collectively stacking wins. And that's what winning is.
You said something brilliant that I hope your audience picked up, that you have to learn how to win. And it is something not everybody has. And we have to learn how to win, to serve effectively. None of this happens without service. And to serve, you have to learn how to serve. So you surround yourself in an environment of people you admire who are great service and just watch them. All their attention is on the other person. It's not about what I can get. It's about what I can give. And once we start becoming masters at giving than just getting, it'll change the game. Mick, one time I was at an event. We're there for a week. It created one of the best breakthroughs for me. And I hope this story will break through your audience. So the first couple days, there was 100 people there. And the first couple days, they just let you do the event. And then the second night, they put you around in a circle. And you had to walk around the room and the person will say, was their experience of you a giver or a taker? And I remember thinking, oh crap, there's some people I judged, there's some people I really did give to, but I realized in that moment I was a conditional giver. And it was such a great lesson for me because 80% of the people said giver. But the 20% deserve to say taker because I judge them. And that happened about 15, 18 years ago, and it just woke me up. It just woke me up. So just like winning is a habit, losing is a habit. And what contributes to losing? Victimhood, taking, judgment. And that's what we want to replace.
There we go. So Arash, quick question for the listener or viewer that is like, this sounds great. How do I get started? What's the first thing I need to do to start this transformation process? What's the tip or tips that you have for the person that's listening? Because I know we have that listener and viewer here, right? Because that's who we're helping at Mick Unplugged.
Well, the first thing we have to decide is, how do I want to live? And we want to get out a blank piece of paper in the present tense and write how you want to live. We are chasing, every goal we have, we're chasing a feeling. But there's 3 rules to success that I found. Number 1, you have to decide exactly what you want. You have to determine the price you have to pay to achieve it. And the third question is, am I willing to pay the price? Now, that price, I will tell everybody, is you have to have the attitude that it's going to take whatever it takes. Each goal, so what most people have a hard time with, they don't know what they want.
No.
And the reason they don't know what they want is they're letting what's happened in their life dictate their wants. So they will let failure take over. Failure is not a bad thing. Failure is a great thing because you have to be willing to fail in order to win. So we have to know exactly what we want. Then we have to understand, why do we want it? See, our wants start in our subconscious mind and they channel into our conscious mind. Our wants come from the essence of who we are. So if I say I want something, that's all that I need to know. I don't need to justify it. When you justify it, it's coming from lack. So you just own your want. And our job is to put that want back into our subconscious mind. So this is where the programming comes in. So I do the auto-suggestion work of what I want. So let's say somebody wants to double their income. So they say, gosh, how am I going to do that? Forget about the how. You just have to work by law. Everything happens by law. If I jump off a building, I'm going to fall. Well, there's laws to creating success. And it's not good enough for us just to want it. We have to turn the want into knowingness, which is a desire. But once we get it to a desire, it's not just a desire in your subconscious mind, it's in the whole universal subconscious, where the whole universe will reshape all the conditions, circumstances, people in your life to make it a reality. But what I would like to do with anybody listening to this is write out your want, then record it for 10 minutes a day. And it's like, Mick, when you were a kid, your parents didn't just say your name is Mick once and said, you know it. They said, Mick, you're so cute. Mick, you're walking. Mick, you're running, right? So it's the same thing to change the programming. We have to get involved with repetition. It's the repetition, and each time we practice repetition, we get more into the spirit of it. It gets easier and easier, and it becomes your new program. That double your income will become a desire, and once it's a desire, it's a done deal.
Love it. Love it. Arash, man, you're so gracious with your time, and I appreciate you taking some moments for the Mick Unplugged audience. What do you have going on? What's new and upcoming with Arash?
I've got a lot going on, Mick. I have an event coming up in November 18th and 19th, called Transform. It's a live 2-day event where the whole purpose of this event, I have my second book coming out. I'm teaching them deep, upgraded processes on how to create a life of freedom step by step. And this philosophy is interesting because a lot of people can get overwhelmed by it. And there's so many books, there's so many speakers, there's so many great people teaching it. What I discovered that I wanted to do when I decided to really teach this to the world is I didn't want to just teach them the philosophy. I wanted to teach them the right processes that can be duplicatable, and that's what I do. Another way to get in contact with me is through my 7-figure podcast. I do a podcast every week that's 20 minutes long of actionable. I keep it very concise. And then if you go to my website, vosscoachingco.com, you can get the Freedom Framework, which you referenced.
Absolutely. And we're going to have links to all of that in the show notes. So we'll make sure we have links to the event. We'll make sure we have links to the website, to the podcast, and everywhere that my buddy Arash is, we'll make sure that we can find and follow him there. Any social links that you want to send people to, Arash?
Yeah, my YouTube, I give free content out every week. It's just my name, Arash Vossoughi. And then on Instagram, I post regularly at Vossoughi, and you'll be able to see all my newest content, because I have decided the rest of my life this is what I'm doing. And I just want to keep helping people transform.
Yeah. And I'll tell all the listeners and viewers, definitely give Arash a follow, because yes, he's a coach, and yes, he charges for things, but the amount of tips and wisdom, and I'm using the word wisdom, that Arash gives out on his YouTube channel and on Instagram, I promise you, you have enough for the next 2 to 3 years to take something every day that Arash has posted or is helping you with. And he's giving you maybe not the freedom framework, but he's giving you a framework that you can implement in your life starting right now. So Arash, I wanted to personally just thank you for what you've meant for me and taking the time to be on the Mick Unplugged show.
I really appreciate it, Mick. Thanks so much.
You got it. And to all the viewers and listeners, remember, your because is your superpower. Go unleash it.
Thank you for tuning in to Mick Unplugged. Keep pushing your limits, embracing your purpose, and chasing greatness. Until next time, stay unstoppable.